Thanks very much, Graham. I'll take you through what Beyond the Trees Avondale is, perhaps some of the sort of physical attributes and what you see there now, and then I'll touch on some of the background to how it happened to be developed. And I think you'd agree, if any of you have been there, that it is indeed an exceptional outdoor place. So I've been involved in this area of outdoor recreation and now morphing into tourism in recent years, but worked in this space for quite a long time. Coillte is an interesting organisation. Why would a company which basically supplies a €2 billion timber industry be one of the leaders in the development of outdoor recreation and tourism spaces in the south? And we clearly call it out as part of our strategy. And it's a really, it's interesting to work within that organisation that has a commercial mandate, but allows us to develop both recreation as a public good, but now developing flagship visitor destinations. Where is Beyond the Trees Avondale? It sits in Avondale Forest Park in the heart of County Wicklow. It's one of our 12 forest parks right across the country. And really, you know, when we started to consider what we would do in Avondale, we could clearly see this was an unpolished diamond, and one that really cried out for the level of investment and development that it did. It's only about 50 minutes south of the M50 and quite accessible. I'm going to play you just a short drone clip which was taken. It was largely to show you Avondale House, which is Charles Stuart Parnell's original home, and the tour that we opened there last year. But it has, of course, some of that lovely imagery of the tower and treetop walkway in Avondale. It really is. I've been on the tower and on the treetop walkway dozens and dozens of times, and I'm still wowed by it. Avondale is a beautiful forest park. It's one that has more exotic species than any other forest park in the country, and it's got a topography that allows us to explore it from different angles, from beneath the trees, through the trees, and indeed above the trees. And it was that sort of idea that sparked our interest in developing a tourist product that would bring visitors in very great numbers to the site. This is just an insight into the Avondale House tour, which was also, as well as being Parnell's ancestral home, was also the very first forestry school in Ireland. So for us professional foresters, it's like our alma mater, if you like. So the treetop walk and viewing tower is the key piece that runs through the park. 1.4 kilometres from start all the way to the very top of the tower, with these incredible, engaging, entertaining ways of involving children of all ages to nature both within the forest park itself and in wider woodlands across Ireland. Some really engaging fun pieces as you go along as well, little things to do that really does engage and capture the imagination. And everything that we wanted to do in Avondale was all about using our timber to construct what you see. And every piece of the timber, which is Douglas fir, which is used to construct this, was sourced on the East Coast, and a lot of it from, in fact, within the forest park itself. And it culminates in this tower at the end, a 12-storey tower at the end of the treetop walkway. One of the key things about this is that you can see that the walkway spirals upwards. From the time you arrive in the car park to the very top of the tower, to everything that we offer in Avondale, it is entirely accessible. It's accessible to all. You can make it to the top of the tower easily in a wheelchair, families with buggies, those of limited mobility. You can see the construction and how it's put together. And of course, it culminates in the very top with Ireland's longest slide, spiral slide, which looks quite scary actually when you see it from this angle. Not quite that, but loads and loads of fun, of course. And then, of course, Avondale House itself, the old house within the park that was built in the 1700s, sits there in the centre of the park, and we opened this last year to guided tours right throughout the house of what life was like for Parnell and the Parnell family, and the key influence that he had in the emergence of a new Irish state, taking it right through the house and exploring all of that. But we also then put new contemporary buildings in beside the old fabric of the estate. New reception and welcome centre, new cafe, retail space, and indeed a Coillte pavilion, an exhibition or an interpretive space where we wanted to tell the story of Irish forestry. And that's what some of these buildings look like. We advocate building with wood, surprise, surprise. We have displaced carbon-heavy construction methods and materials with building with wood in the structures throughout. We've built those, as I say, within the fabric of the park. That's typically what the interior of the buildings look like in our Seed Cafe. And on into the Forestry Pavilion, where we explore all aspects of forests, their influence, what they do, what they provide, and explore the four pillars, I suppose, of our strategy: forests for people, for nature, for climate, and for wood. Along with that, we've improved a lot of the old features of the park and redeveloped the old heritage buildings. So inside in the walled garden, which used to be the food factory for the house back centuries ago, is now a really well-developed, explored space with a beautiful kids' playground and lots of wildflower areas. But also we've conserved a lot of the old fabric of the estate, and you can see the contemporary sitting alongside the cultural. One of the key things that we wanted to do in developing Avondale was to make it accessible. I've mentioned that already. The installation of a changing place in a tourist, in a visitor destination, has actually had a profound effect on how the place is used. And I have to say, it's incredibly gratifying to see the number of people who can come to a tourist destination, a visitor destination, because a changing place is available. That really has, I suppose, opened our eyes to what we need to do with our other locations. All of the trails developed for multi-access, including bike trails, wayfinding, etc. So a changing place, really important part that we're now incorporating into all of our developments. But moving on to how we developed it, this was done in partnership. It's a public-private partnership. And we had to engage, I suppose, our best practice in visitor management and experience delivery, and we did that by getting on board, the experts in the field and looking at what others do. There isn't a start and a finish to this piece. It is very much circular. It all starts with partnership. From a conversation that we started to have in forums where we bumped into Coillte Ireland, forums like the Visitor Safety Group, the Outdoor Recreation Network, started a conversation about what we could do better with what we have, where we have two completely different sets of objectives, but a common goal. We have loads and loads, 500 odd sites across the country of outdoor recreation, but how could we develop those in partnership with Coillte to become real tourist destinations? And when we established that strategic partnership with Coillte Ireland in 2017, that's when we started to, I suppose, ignite the pipeline of projects that we started to develop. But in looking at excellence, and we had absolutely said that the guest experience, the visitor experience, has to be key. We happened upon EAK, who own, operate and manage 13 of these treetop walks and towers right across Europe and indeed in Canada. And we said, that's for us. That sits in with what we want to develop in Avondale. And quickly developed that partnership with EAK at Avondale. Our ambition was very clear. This wasn't something where we were simply just trying to redevelop or upgrade Avondale. It had to be a transformational shift, one which would ignite the imagination and become something flagship. And I think we've done that. And benchmarking ourselves against somebody else who's doing something really innovative. We had known that that idea of beneath and above the trees was the key thing we had to explore, and we benchmarked ourselves against how that's being done across Europe, and again back to bringing EAK on board to realise that dream. It's a €19 million capital investment. If there's one thing that's been referred to here that we're not short of in the south at the moment, it's capital investment in two key areas. One is outdoor recreation and the other is tourism destination development. So with Coillte, with our own commercial investment into it, with Fáilte Ireland's investment through our strategic partnership capital grant programme, and with the private investment that EAK brought to bear as well, we realised the €19 million capital that we needed. We've continued to invest in capital since opening. We opened to the public in June 22, and you can see the visitor numbers. So in 6 months we had 267,000 visitors. Our ambition for the first 12 months was 250,000. So, you know, at a place that has capacity for about 3,000, 3,200 visitors per day, we were regularly seeing days in summer 22 of 5,000, 6,000 visitors per day. So you can imagine, you know, it really did ignite the imagination. At the moment, 95% of our visitors are domestic to the island, but that's going to change. And our marketing plan is to grow that out. We plan to grow to 450,000 with 40% international by 2032. The visitor experience has been absolutely key. We go after that all the time. There is always somebody at the end of a phone if a visitor has a query about something that they've booked online, an issue that's arisen with their journey, something that needs to change. They want to rebook, they want to change their, and that's been really important for us, and it's something we continue to invest in. The feedback has been outstanding right from the time we've opened. That's expensive, but it's a really important part of what we've said we will do at Beyond the Trees Avondale, is to ensure that, you know, we can continue to improve our visitor feedback. And I've mentioned accessibility and sustainability being really at the core of what we do. We worked with Age Friendly Ireland to incorporate into it the entire visitor journey, using the visual aids and prompts of a destination to get people from A to B to C within the park. And we've achieved the first age-friendly visitor destination in Ireland, and we actually possibly think it's a global first. And they've created a case study which has travelled far and wide around how to do that. Local is key for us as well, partnering with Wicklow Naturally, who are the local food producers. And that's what you see, that's what you taste in our restaurant on site. All of the sustainable technologies that we've built into the design. We are a significant employer. Why would Fáilte Ireland invest in a tourism destination like this? It creates employment and generates local economic activity. Sustainable menu, local supply chain. And the engagement with the local community right from the very start, from the early stage of design, right through the activation of events on site has been really key. And that includes engagement with, you know, the local men's shed. 2 benches produced and presented back to us from a large ash tree that had to come down on site. So lots of local and community engagement. Constantly developing. This is the first cabinet meeting after summer recess was held in Avondale House. And again, you know, a lot of profile, very important for Coillte as well, to be able to engage and have that profile. We've now developed the old church on the site into a meeting house venue, as we're calling it. And the event development, that's popped out a bit there, and event development, would you believe, getting engaged in Beyond the Trees Avondale up on top of the tower has actually become a thing. So we've now started to package that. So last month the Valentine's dinner encouraged more proposals. And lots of events, you know, now animating with a full events programme. We've just finished the Treetop, in January, we just finished the Treetop Nightlights event, which ran from November to January, where the entire Treetop walkway was lit, but in a way that was really sympathetic with the environment that you were within. So people got to experience high up above the forest canopy at night time. So it really was a captivating event indeed. What's phase 2 look like? Perhaps events and conferences. We have lots of other built heritage down there that we're looking to convert. Yeah, just some more images of the Treetop Nightlights. Yeah, really engaging indeed. Fabulous space. So that's it. Thank you very much.